Died. I'd like to call the January 30th Public Property and Law Enforcement Committee meeting to order. Can we do a roll call
Negro,
here?
Ray, Stark,
Here.
Mr. Stendor asked to be excused, and the other seat is still vacant.
All right, approval of the agenda. Did everybody get a chance to look at it? Does it look nice?
Mike Stark, second.
It's good to have cooperation. I have a first by Brad and a second by Mike. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Agenda is set. Next, we have public comments. I don't know. Okay. Public comment sign-in sheet. Kim. You've got your 3 minutes. You can come up, you want to just come with that one?
My name is Kim Lavasser, and I'm here to talk about my job. I was terminated from the Ashland County Sheriff's Office. I found out today. And I was given no reason. I was given a letter saying that I was demoted, and then that I was supposed to contact Sheriff Zupke regarding my continued employment, which I did. And he said to contact Max Lindsay. Max Lindsay was out until today, at which time I was told that I was terminated. There's no reason given. Over the last couple of months, I've heard nothing but good things about the job that I've been doing. Actually, over the last 22 years, I've heard nothing but good. I have nothing in my personnel file saying that I've done anything wrong. No verbal, no written. I have not been told that I was doing anything wrong. I have not been asked to do anything that I have not done. I was replaced by Kyle Cadet, who is Brian's wife's cousin. I realize that's not completely in our nepotism policy. However, I do feel that it is wrong that he is a supervisor over his own relatives. I know that he was angry with me for talking with the sheriff last year about an incident that happened in the jail over him. I talked with the sheriff first and not him. However, in my job description, it clearly states that I report to the sheriff first and then the chief deputy. So again, did nothing wrong. I was told that Brian told me in his office that he did not want to start off his term with a possible lawsuit. And in the 7 days after, well, within 7 days after my demotion, there's been death in the jail. So you're going to be starting a lawsuit anyway. So I just want everybody to know that I do not feel I deserve this. I did nothing wrong. I have worked 22 years. This job was my life. So I'm not going to go down without a fight. And believe me, that's all I have to say.
I don't know if, did anyone else sign up besides Kathy to talk? Okay. Next, I'd like to recognize Kathy Schroffnagel. She's the director of the Zach Center in Glidden.
Hello, can everyone hear me? All right, thumbs up. So
You might want to turn your video off. You're frozen up. Yep. Oh, we are too, huh?
and to do things a little differently than they've been done in the past, such as building maintenance,
Kathy?
just to set up a, yes?
You may want to shut off your video because you keep skipping, so maybe that'll help with the bandwidth, so.
Okay, hang on, hang on. Is
There you
that
go.
better? All right, we'll try it again. So, as I said, I've been here about a year and a half and I'm trying to make improvements after improvements, such as setting up a maintenance fund for this building. It is county owned. Board members that I have spoken to did not realize that the building and the land here was county owned. And I don't know who's been in what position for any length of time, so I'm sure everybody's still learning at their jobs as I am. Anyway, so within that realm of trying to make improvements, our garage is desperate for improvements. I'm not even sure when it was built. But I literally have to shovel out the garage so that we can walk in it because snow comes in. And anyway, it's kind of a mess and needs to be basically rebuilt. I did talk to some professionals in the area about repair. It's a lot to repair, and anyone that I spoke to said that rebuilding is the way to go. Also, there's another reason for that. The neighbor's property is literally an inch away, 1 inch away from our garage. And I believe the neighbor believes that they own part of our garage, which is not exactly true according to the survey that was done. So anyway, there's a lot going on here. I do have a copy of a very outdated old lease from the county. It's actually from October of 1982. Signed by people that are no longer involved, or being that I never heard of some of them, I don't know if they're even still alive. So I think that needs to be updated and we need to talk about that. But right now, I am here to tell you that I have raised $25,000 to get this garage built, and I'm being told by a contractor in the area that the total cost will be right around $53,000. So basically double what I'm looking at. And that the slab alone will cost like $4,000. Cement is expensive these days, I guess. But anyway, I'm looking for volunteer help to tear down and rebuild. We want to save everything we can from the current build to try and save money, which is also being looked at. I guess that's my spiel, and I'm looking for, being that it is a county-owned building, what does the county want to do? What can the county do? Being that I, within a year and a half of being here, have raised $25,000 to get this done, and have done all the legwork and so on and so forth, willing to be right here tearing down and rebuilding. So are some other folks on a volunteer basis, not enough, but some. And looking for a discussion on how this could possibly happen, if at all.
Kathy, what I'll do is I'll have Dan contact you because this is public. This is just public comments in this spot.
Yeah.
We can start the conversation that way and then stick you on the agenda for next time.
Dan who?
Dan Grady. He's our administrator.
Okay. Perfect. You have my email, my contact information, and you know where I am.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
Is there anyone else for public comments? Anyone else for public comments? I can't read any of that up there. Anyone else for public comments? Seeing none, we will close the public comment section. Next is the approval of the public property and law enforcement meeting minutes from November 14th, 2022.
This is Mike Stark. I'll second.
It's like we're a team. I've got a first from Ray and I've got a second from Mike. Is there any other discussion on them? Corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next is the review of the quarterly financials.
So I can't put them on the screen because the link to the
Oh, that's right.
is broken.
Got broken
But I
legs.
believe Sue put out a newer, more simpler version that we hope is what you're looking for. If you want difference, something different, let us know. We will. But
Nice.
we're
You-
following along the model of Finance Committee, what they wanted.
No. How do you guys like looking at this format?
Ready.
Well, that's what we were looking for.
Say this format's much better than the previous one.
Don't like looking through the GL, trying to dig through that? No? They'll search and destroy? Yeah, there's like three of us. I'm pretty certain we could just leave them on at this.
There's enough. Right?
What do you think, Mike?
I'm not sure I understand it all, but it's fine. The format's fine. I'm not sure that I understand all of it, but the format looks fine.
Well, we can always have somebody go through, I mean, there's a. Dan could shoot us through if he could put it up on the screen, but at this point, we've got a broken link, but I'm sure we could, if you have any deeper questions on it, or if there's questions you might have that you want to see something on there, we can talk with Sue or with Dan and get that information.
Mike, after the county board meeting, we can talk to Sue and if they're, go over it a little bit more for you.
Just to clarify, the budget is for that quarter too, right?
Mhm.
So it's all broken down quarterly. So we haven't spent 100% of the budget for the year. We just spent 100% for the quarter.
Yes, that's correct.
Brian, was there anything you wanted to go over in that quarterly piece? Any highlights, things that you saw, problems you could see coming up?
Not at this time. Like I said, I'm kind of
Yeah,
diving into several issues, but with mostly staffing and whatnot, but that's about it.
okay. Time I click, something disappears. It's always a good day. All right. Number 6, courthouse maintenance and 514 building report. David?
So far, maintenance has been going pretty well. Haven't had any major issues. I did have Grant from Jamar come out and calibrate all our thermostats. I also had him teach me how to do it with the pressure gauge, and that way we won't need him to come out and do it. spoke to him on trying to set up the feed water tank with a float on operation, working float. He said it's doable, most likely a summer job, but unfortunately it's not going to solve our problem of having someone have to check it basically daily. And that is mainly because of, you can keep adding water to the system, but eventually you're gonna get too much condensate back to where it overflows. Another thing that would need to be addressed before that happened would be leaks in the system. Valves, radiators that have small cracks in them, joints in the pipe fittings, with it being an old system. And again, another summer thing. We should probably start thinking about changing some carpeting in some of the offices. They're pretty ground down and beat up. If we were to do that, I would suggest carpet tiles. I have quite a bit of experience with carpet tiles. The nice thing is too, is in high traffic zones, you could have a spare box where you can pull up a few tiles and put down some fresh ones and not have to redo the whole room. Painting. Exterior is something we're gonna need to really think about come spring and summer. Just, benches, hand railings that are starting to have, signs of rust and whatnot. Our maintenance shed outside definitely needs some TLC. The floor, I don't know if I'm gonna go through it by the end of the winter or not, but it's just about rotted out. So isn't the sheathing on it. 514 actually is being shown right now. Sarah is over there with the realtor. As far as I know, Rachel has been getting a lot of her stuff out of there. HHS has gone over there and gone through some things and kind of put sticky notes on what they want or don't want. And until that's all figured out, then we'll start trying to get that stuff out of there. For the most part, I think that'd probably be it.
Yeah, so with the furniture and stuff in the 514 building, we're thinking about one, offering it to any county department that needs something. They get first dibs at it. And then after that, we'd offer it to our municipalities and any nonprofit. And the reason for doing that is the cost of cataloging everything and putting it up online and dealing with the sale, it costs a lot more than the stuff is worth. So we figure we give it to any municipality that wants it or a nonprofit that wants it first. And that would save us a bunch of money and help out the communities.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you very much, David. Next is the Sheriff's Department report from Brian.
So I guess, I don't know the past procedure. I mean, we just want me to go over the numbers on here. So, for the month of January, arrest 17. Citations 8, complaints to investigate 65, calls for service 488. For number of bookings in the jail population, number of bookings is 41. Daily average held in the facility is 36. Daily average held on monitor 7. Daily average boarded 4. So total daily average is 48. The transportation breakdown for our transport officer was Dan Pufall. He has, I believe, warrants, wants, and miscellaneous. There were 28.4 hours invested in that. 1,547.4 miles were driven. Boarded inmates for Inmates on monitor, 7. And then inmates broken down into race. Native Americans, 19, Hispanic, 0, African American, 1, white, 17. For the Native American population, it's 51.3% of the population. The African American, 1.40% of the population, and for Caucasian, it'd be 46% of the population for the jail. That's all.
Brian, can you email that to me and we'll stick it up on the packet for
Yep.
today's meeting?
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I guessed before I said it. Did you guys have any questions for Brian?
Excuse me, Dan,
Yeah.
that should be in your email.
Oh, okay. Then it got there before. And Brian, maybe you should address Friday's incident since it's in the paper.
We did, it is correct with, from during our public comments, what was said, there was a death in the jail.
Yeah.
It was investigated, we basically, because it happened in our jail, we had an outside agency come and investigate, which is, I talked to, Sheriff Tony Williams from Bayfield County. He had 2 investigators come over. Autopsy was done and a toxicology report. That takes time. They're waiting on that. Media has contacted me. They were given the same information. So basically we'll be waiting on the results of all that.
It takes what, 12 weeks or more to get the toxicology back?
Yes, correct. He was the deceased male, Aaron Craig. He was brought in approximately 24 hours prior by Ashland PD.
And this is an ongoing investigation right now?
Yes, right now will be ongoing. So like you said, the autopsy, I mean, you should be able to get that back right away, but the toxicology itself, it takes quite a while to get those back, to give us an idea of what may have happened. And he was in a single holding cell. He was monitored. When it happened, he went down. The jailers immediately responded, attempted CPR. And EMS were called immediately.
Okay. When we have that investigation finalized, it would be nice to have a report for the committee and any
Okay.
procedures and things that
Okay.
good, bad, and the ugly.
Mhm.
Next is discussion and action, appointment of Chief Deputy Nate Deligan. I'm gonna start this part out myself. Because I had spoken with Dan and I get somebody jumped the gun here and we skipped over a committee. Our process here, as was done with you when you were hired as chief deputy,
Correct.
was in front of the committee. We had a set date. I get everybody short and stuff. If we can't wait for our own processes and go through those kinds of things, I don't even know why we have the processes or the committees. Otherwise, shoot.
So, like I said, I thought the committee was set up, but, I did 2 interviews with Nate Deligan, Sergeant Jason Janasek. Nate Deligan was chosen based on, his experience. He did very well in the interview. And he exceeded in that. So I chose him and would like to have him be our chief deputy. He's qualified. He has over 20 years experience. He's been a sergeant for how many years? 14 years. I mean, he's been involved in the major investigations throughout his entire career, like myself. So he's been a trainer, instructor, all of that. Goes above and beyond than the average deputy we have. So that's why I selected him. I would like to have him our chief deputy.
And Chair Pufal and I were in the interviews too. And it was unanimous decision.
I'm happy as all get out about that. Our process was that we brought it in front of the committee. We did the interviews. We went into closed session. We talked about it. We did a recommendation, then it went to executive. And then it went from there. So it's not that difficult of a process. We've had this before. I don't know why we didn't do the same process. So. I don't know about you other two.
I didn't know the process. So I didn't know that we were out of it. This position technically reports to Dan, is that correct?
Well, the position technically reports to me and the county board. So the difference between a chief deputy and an under sheriff is just that. An under sheriff reports directly to the sheriff and is tied to the sheriff's political fates. Whereas the chief deputy reports to me and the county board to keep continuity within the department.
We're gonna keep using the word technically. Technically, there's a lot of things, right? If we're gonna have a process and not use it. I'm disappointed. I talked with Dan about this before any of it happened, at least that I know of. So. Like I said, Brian, it was the same process we used with you. It wasn't,
Like I said, I assumed the committee was gonna be there. I think it doesn't. As far as the interviews being done that day, I mean, I think it takes the competitive edge away at this point in time, if we had to redo them.
I'm not gonna put anybody through that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that means all heads that are sitting here need to like pay attention to a process. Go ahead, Mike.
Why didn't we go through the process?
In the past, except for Brian, it's always gone just through executive committee. Because it is an HR decision.
Only Brian this time. Oh, it's the last process that I used, so.
Do we need a motion? Bradbury will move to appoint Nate Deligan, is how you pronounce it? As a chief deputy of the Ashland County Sheriff's Office.
There's only three in this here.
I haven't gotten any information to know. I mean, I'm not against it, but
I trust in our duly elected sheriff as well as the county administrator and the county board chair and their decision and recommendation of the unanimous vote. So I'm going based off of that, even though I was not
does
involved.
this go to the county board next?
Yeah, next week.
So it goes to the county board. I'll second to send it to the county board.
Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we turned in the grant application and Dorothy, can you fill in the spots where I missed here? So we turned in the grant application and and Bayfield County did, and we were both turned down. They did approve our GIS grant for us. Now, I know that Megan Quarter and Dorothy have been in contact with the state, and they're requesting more information from us in order to move ahead with joint, to possibly get us approved. There's also going to be more money put in the next budget for the state. So we're still working on it. It's still a possibility. And the state is sort of trying to figure out how to do it. But I'll let Dorothy talk since she's actually worked on this for weeks at nonstop.
What I know is, as Dan had indicated is, and Brian was part of that process, because as far as Ashland County's application, we worked on it as a work group. So there was, Brian was part of that work group. We had our communications director, myself, our IT department. And when we received the denial letters, you had to kind of look at both Bayfield County's denial letter and Ashland County's denial letter together to kind of understand the direction and the issues they were emphasizing. One of the things that stood out is that, and we'll probably, Dan and I think Brian will be part of that, they're scheduled a conference call for February 20th. That's in the process of being set up, and you'll probably learn far more about that at that time. But according to the denial letters, the one thing they emphasized is the eligibility for the grant. And that eligibility requirement is having 2 dispatchers on at all times. For both, Bayfield County would need to have 2 dispatchers in their dispatch center, and we would have to be eligible to apply for any of the next rounds. And the second thing would be to then start working on our consolidation, our implementation plan, which Dan, I think, is going to be, and as Mark, proceeding with mission critical partners, the implementation plan that they are recommending for the 2 counties for the consolidation project, which they were proposing would be roughly a 3-year process. The first 2 years is kind of more of a planning process. And then the 3rd year is more of an action. This is when everything starts falling into place. So it'll be interesting to see what the state has to say during this phone call. The one thing that will fall negatively toward this project is when we did the application, is we each applied for the 500,000 for this particular grant application. We each county applied for 500,000 max. So we would get $1 million total. In the denial letter, as we all read it, we will not be able to do that in the future. So that would mean that we will have to have, Ashland County would submit their grant under Bayfield County. So the maximum, it is implied, and that would be something to clarify, but it is implied in their terminology that the maximum for the consolidation is 500,000. And that we would have to be contributing more of our money for the process.
Now, the wrinkle in this is the governor has proposed a bunch of innovation grants in his new budget. These innovation grants are meant specifically for municipalities and counties to combine services. So they're trying to get more efficiency out of the systems. And so, you know, there's a possibility we might qualify under the innovation grant too, if that were to happen. It does sound like the legislature is open to that one, because for them, it is saving money. So the process is still really fluid.
Brad?
I remember talking about this and we knew that the 2 people on it any one time was going to be an issue, but I thought there was something that they knew that we were working towards that. And so that they wouldn't use that against us to deny.
We were certainly hoping for
Okay.
that, but it's very clear in the administrative codes for the state that the state wrote that our hope was that since we were working toward that, but they're holding firm, at least there's all indications they're holding firm to the eligibility requirement that you have to already be doing that.
Makes sense.
They're basically telling us to redo the grant as a joint, and then we'll relook at it, because that's what we want you to do. And so the joint would require implementation plan from Mission Critical. So they see that this is what you have laid out, you know what you're gonna do, and then both counties have to basically sign off on it.
Since Bayfield County and Ashland County has at least one person on it any time, doesn't that meet the qualification of two if we apply it as two? Because they're different systems, it would not. work.
One of the things that you have to present yourself, you have to, what's the word I'm looking? Each county is a separate public safety answering point for each of our respective counties. So we had to verify that. And so in doing so, you can't say, well, combine, because we're not combined yet.
Right.
So for that eligibility requirement,
And is the estimated total cost to combine that $1 million? Is that
no.
more than that?
More than that.
Way more than that.
That's one of the reasons why we're not touching that $577,000 we got from the feds. And then the payment we're gonna get this year too. Because we might need cash to move fast, to move forward. So we're keeping that money in the bank until, and there's no time limits on spending that money. And then we still have, if it were to move next year, we still have ARPA funding we can use too. But we're trying to make sure that we have the cash available to move fast, assuming we get the grant and both county boards approve it. But there's gonna be a lot of technology upgrades needed. Another tower, and then more new communications equipment. Then there's gonna be the added cost of extra staffing, since there is gonna be a requirement for 2 people. There's gonna be a lot of expenses, but in the end, what it should do is make better service for both the residents of both counties.
Right.
So, and it'll be the new technology too, which the state's gonna force everyone to adopt at some point. Right, within 5 years or so?
Yes.
Yeah,
I was
So-
gonna say we have upgrades to do anyway, so.
yeah,
either
we
way.
do. And that's one of the reasons why we're holding on to our cash, because we don't know what the grant outcome is, but we know we're gonna have to do this.
But so at this point, this grant is not available to us.
No, but we can reply again for the next cycle.
Okay. And
So,
and we're also then hopeful that some money in the governor's budget, proposed budget would also be available, and that might get us close to.
well, we don't know. I mean, the budget has not even been delivered to the legislature yet.
Well, yeah, I know.
So all we really know was what's in his state of the state.
So we're not holding our breath.
No,
As
that's why we're holding
usual.
on to cash.
Ah,
Hopefully we'll have an update again for the next meeting. Or actually, maybe we'll just put it on the agenda. If there's no updates, we'll just say there's no updates.
The agenda had this as discussion action. What is the action that we might need to take at this point?
I don't think there's any action you need to take.
Okay.
Our clerk puts discussion action on most agenda items.
just
So if you want to take action, you're able to.
Weird.
Well, in this case, you're deciding not to take action.
Is there, as far as that letter of support, how is that going to have to be handled?
Well, that's something Mark and I still have to talk about. He did send me the sample resolution that Bayfield County is gonna attempt to pass, supporting joint dispatch. If so, then we will take that up in March at the county board. So, we have to have a county board meeting in March anyhow, so we could take it up after Bayfield County.
Another one of the requirements that they are asking for as far as in the consolidation process is to show that the county board is supporting this process.
I thought we already had some sort of resolution about it.
We did, but we had to pass another one.
Okay.
It
we're just jumping through hoops for the state.
That's fair. I
It's
understand
the
that.
next hoop.
So,
We will continue to pass resolutions for this.
correct.
Yes.
And you can expect this one probably to come in March. Like I said, we'll have to have a board meeting for another opiate settlement.
Okay.
So we'll have to approve that. And that has to be done by sometime April, early April, so. That information hasn't been released yet, but I know it's coming out.
All right, we can roll right into the emergency management report if there's nothing else.
I- I'd like to make one
questions?
comment first.
Sure can.
Just, I'd like everybody to congratulate Dorothy. This is her last week. She's retiring on Friday. So if you guys could please make a point to congratulate her yet.
I think we might need a motion to keep her around until we get the grant. To join.
I think she has other plans that don't involve us.
Okay, in your packet of information, if you brought them with you or can, you might have something that looks like this document. If you don't, I can set it here.
Packet right here if somebody needs it.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Linky working? Oh, okay.
We have it
I can't get
online.
it yet.
It's online.
Okay, something I didn't include that I forgot to give to Dan. And I'll just include for your packet. even though you have- There's another forgot to give you. Oh, I got it. Okay.
All
Oh,
right,
yeah.
Dorothy, when
This-
tomorrow, can you email this to me and we'll get it uploaded to the packet
Okay.
for this meeting? Thank you.
Yeah, I've got plenty of them, so if you guys want something to follow. What I did, Dan, I met with Dan last Friday and what I had put together was just, this is not meant to be all inclusive, but I tried to include just about as many things that were very much in progress or that would be kind of be finalizing or kind of at the end, projects, grants, things that someone would have to deal with or payments that would be coming in the mail. So that is what this list is and what the grant is, what the project is, who the contacts are. There's a column there. Not that I am not going to be available for questions or things like that, but it was just kind of to give some kind of guidance with all the activities because it's always kind of an ever-ending flow of information, activities, things like that coming down from the state. So that's what our meeting was. Along with that, the Randy Books, the regional director for Wisconsin Emergency Management, joined us on Friday. And so he was somebody that his position is something that is very important. So that whomever fills my position will be working closely with that position, or it's at least a resource. So for questions, concerns, that type of thing. The handout I gave you as far as chapter 323, everything that's related to emergency management is founded in and supported by chapter 323. So it's the state statute that supports everything that the department does. Any questions, concerns?
I'd like to say thank you for putting this table together for what's going on. That's very helpful in a succession plan to have some sort of, here's where we stand and what's coming up, so that they'll be very helpful as you enjoy your retirement.
Yes, because I know how challenging it can be, even for just as the only person that pretty much knows what's going on for anyone that's in that position. But again, as I've always indicated, I'm only going to be a phone call away. So though it's my understanding too, that as far as the position and everything, the position will still be housed in the sheriff's department, right?
As of right now, but we haven't made any decisions on the position yet. That's why it's on the agenda.
I was gonna say it's coming down. So, but a few more comments before we get to that, but, so there's that, and part of that, there's an item, I need to get some input from the committee, and it's item number 11. The Advanced Assistance Grant. This was a 3-year project that following the 2016 storm, the state had requested Ashland County to apply for funding to specially study the effects of that storm. And the Marengo watershed area was the hardest hit watershed. And to really look at that, we are now wrapping up the study that was completed. It was a very comprehensive and involved study on natural flood management and climate resilient practices that we can start recommending, start implementing to the landscape. Now, in your packet, it'll look something like this. It'll have draft written on it, yes. We are in the process of finalizing that document, and it will become an addendum. One of the deliverables of the grant is an addendum to the hazard mitigation plan. And so as soon as we finalize this, which we're probably 95% close to doing that, it will be posted on the Ashland County website under emergency management, right below the hazard mitigation plan. But I'm looking for input on, is there a special process the committee wants us to follow to get this to the public, to put this out to the public?
Should also point out the Land Conservation Department's involved in this one. So Mary Jo is going to be available still and knows everything that's going on.
Not sure if we had a project manager from the Wisconsin Wetlands Association also that has been very integral on this. Whether we should at some time in the future have a presentation to the full board on this study once we've wrapped it all up. It's brought I have to say that it has brought quite a bit of interest out there, even at the governor's office, the legislators. I mean, it's to the whole state. It's a project that has a lot of interest, and a lot of people are very interested in finding out the results. So I just want to make sure that when we start to put this out to the public, if there's a certain process you want us to follow.
I would think definitely a presentation to the county board would be great. And then if there's some kind of public way, because like you said, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see how this turned out. We had some really bad storms and some, just from here to Odana, how many miles to try to get people in and out, and helicopter flights and things. So it's on people's minds, knowing that something like that could happen in our area again, very easily.
Yeah.
Very easily. We've been surpassing those 500 and 1,000-year floodplain anyways, it's just something we need to start planning for. It's not 500 and 1,000 years. It's 5 or 10. Yeah. So, if there is, besides the county board, if there's a process that you would recommend or a way of getting this out, some kind of presentation or some discussion with the newspaper. I don't know how they would be, but I think this is important for people to know what happened and what kind of plans we have for it.
I do know that through the Wisconsin Wetlands Association, they have a lot of connections but before they can start kind of promoting it and doing the media aspect on this, they want to make sure that they're not overstepping their bounds. And, you know, from
Yeah.
something locally, that a process that we need to follow here. I mean, like I said, this is a grant deliverable, so once we're done with this and we're turning in our fiscal, and FEMA will have a copy of this as part of their process. We're just looking at how can we start getting this out, promoting this kind of statewide. Is there a process you want us to follow first, or can we just start as getting it out there as much as possible? And part of that process being a county board presentation sometime down
Yeah.
the pipe.
Yeah. I would think the more cooperation we could have with any, especially larger partners like FEMA or what did you say, the conservation?
Conservation
Wetland
Department,
conservation, yeah.
the Wetlands Association at the state, they are very much involved in a lot of things statewide. And I would really like to, as soon as we can get this, to really start having them promote with their contacts.
Yeah,
Okay.
that seems to be, I don't,
Yeah, I think whatever can get it out, and if it's the Wetlands Association, then we use them and ride their coattails and get this out. I don't know, some of the plans have to be approved by the county board before that can happen, but is this because it's an addendum? You know, the presentation of the county board and then go with it once they approve, if it has to be approved by the county board, full board.
Well, yeah, the addendum to the hazard mitigation plan would have to be, yeah.
Yeah, so as soon as that happens, and do whatever the Wetlands Association, Land Water Conservation Department within here and Emergency Management within the Sheriff's Department wants to do, and go with it.
So do I understand that the county boards is planning a meeting in March?
Yeah, we're gonna meet in March.
So that then adopting this, having this addendum adopted on that meeting agenda?
It's possible, yeah.
Okay.
Assuming you can finish it by Friday.
Yeah.
where you
Or-
just stay.
Like I said, there's still some things that I'll be wrapping up, so. Okay, any other issues, questions, concerns about any of this?
You guys have anything? All right. Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you.
Okay. I think I've told her congratulations twice already, so. But as a committee, we really appreciate the time and the dedication and all the across department assistance you have lent with grant planning and writing and bringing money into the county, and your concern for the citizens of our communities. This is like a big baby that you've been bringing along and growing. So. Next, we have the emergency management position. It's number 11.
Well, if you want to make changes, now's the time. Before we post the job. One thing I would like to add to the position is grant writing for countywide.
If we do that, are there other positions that are going to be supportive with this? Because I know Mary Jo does different grants.
Yeah,
and-
Mary Jo would still do her thing, but you know, we need grant opportunities everywhere. we need to find more cash from the outside to do things. So I would say the job responsibility should be to do some other grants too.
Go ahead, Mike.
So in our packet, this emergency management director, that's the current job description.
Well, yeah, let me look at
I mean,
the packet.
that's the
I
one
think I
that's
included
exist-
some positions from Chippewa County and Bayfield County.
And then the other ones, well, these are other just samples, right?
Yeah,
But the one.
So,
that
yeah, you
says
have-
Ashland County Sheriff's Office laws.
so the one that looks like this is our job description. And I added some Chippewa and Bayfield and then for comparisons.
But those are just to see if you want to change this description.
Yeah, if
include
you,
any of
there's
these
something you
other
want to do with
things.
it other than what we have now. I know there's been talk of doing different things, so I just wanted to give you guys the opportunity to make changes.
Is there enough time in this person's position to also be the lead grant writer for other departments?
Okay, but I have a little concern with the expectation of other grants. So, let me explain that, because with emergency management, comes the opportunity for handwriting, applying for mitigation grants, so that's part of that process. So I'm a little concerned when you say other grants, Dan. If you're talking about, because I know I've tried to work with the highway department when they've applied for some mitigation dollars for their highway projects and things like that, that can get a little bit even overwhelming to help them because of the amount of, and I'm just giving an example. At one point in time, I had 10 mitigation projects I was juggling in addition to everything else I was doing. That was kind of an overload.
Well, I guess a good example would be like the highway department applied for a grant to do shoreline erosion
Yep.
on the island. Somebody who's in emergency management has more expertise in that kind of topic.
And I think Dorothy has cooperated
Yeah.
with those, and also with Mary Jo when
Mhm.
she's had a few projects to do wetland mitigation projects also. My concern is if it gets, I mean, I don't know when the last time we've done any kind of live incident training. I don't know when the last time we did a good inventory of all the resources that we have. I mean, if anybody has had any of the ICS classes, you know that there is a whole structure and hierarchy that is a really good chain of command, which gives our sheriff's department and our county the best foot forward when these situations happen. And if I get the whole grant writing thing, because I'd love to have tons of people writing grants for us, just hand over fist. But this position is really tight with the statute and is huge when it comes to all of the different, everything from the hospitals to the different municipalities and everything, having that support through this position. So if we're talking within the scope of the job, and I'm doing the weird air quotes thing in case nobody can see me online, that I would see as just kind of already within the position is to lend the expertise to help with that kind of stuff. Other stuff outside of there, it's like she said, Dorothy and I have had very good conversations about which grants she's been helping with, how many times and such, and you can only split a hair down so far before it busts.
But one thing I will say, the whole process of like land conservation, the highway department and emergency management really having better coordination together on who's doing what. There, I think is an opportunity for better coordination. so that we can figure out if there's opportunities for grants. Who can do them? Oh, maybe Mary Jo says, you know, I'm a little bit freer. I can probably try to manage this if you can help me write it or doing something. I think a little better coordination might be helpful, but I don't think as a one-person department.
Well, and the coordination help is coming with Carisha here. She's helping land conservation now.
Grant writing, we're talking. about,
Well,
right?
no, more helping with the paperwork that comes with grants. I don't know if there's any changes you want to make, though. Now's the time.
You know, I think in the current job description, that first bullet kind of says, and other state and federal grants as they become available. And kind of like what Laura was saying is when they relate somehow, then
Scope.
to have that guidance, but I'd be in my other job, it's sometimes more of a hassle to apply for grant because of all the extra work that comes with it than doing a grant. And I'd be concerned of having somebody that already has a lot of duties to add those duties to that person. I'd be concerned of that. It would scare me away from applying for a job that was too broad. And so I would say keep the job description as is.
Mike,
Yeah, I mean, this job description is fine unless we, but what is the process? Because we just went through the process on the deputy sheriff. What's the process of hiring a new emergency management director? Where is that spelled out?
I hire the person. Post the job and hire the person.
Does this you that?
Yeah.
I mean,
speak.
It's the easier process, this one. I can tell you interviewing, I mean, Sheriff Zupke will be involved with that too, because he's going to have to work with the person.
Well, according to the current job description, they report to sheriff and deputy sheriff. Chief deputy. Or just general supervision as the committee.
Right.
It's state statutory supervision, yeah.
okay.
So did you need us to?
Oh, I just know there was conversations about doing different things and
Okay.
this is the opportunity to have that conversation.
No, I didn't know if you need us.
No,
Do
if you
anything
don't want to do
official,
anything, you don't need to do anything.
Seems to be good.
Go ahead and get it filled soon.
Yep.
I was hoping it was already, you were gonna have the announcement that you actually sent in one of those packets.
I expect it's going to take a couple months at
I think
least.
So
I mean,
it's a specialized bunch
well,
of
yeah,
training.
it's
and-
going to be 2 to 3 months minimum.
With
You-
the wage study and stuff, I noticed there was some discrepancies between Chippewa and Bayfield County. Are we gonna be able to be competitive with those or maybe even better than those with?
I'd have to look at the numbers to get an answer. I don't have offhand.
Okay.
But I can email you later.
I just hope that we're at least competitive with those, if not even more competitive.
Well, we are never going to be at Bayfield County's level. I can tell you that.
Never say never.
Well,
Maybe we'll win the lottery.
and we will never going to be at Chippewa County for sure.
Well, whatever we pay for someone to do our emergency management, it'll never be enough.
Well, I
So-
think that's probably true.
Okay, kids, where are we next? Is there any more questions about the position or comments? Next is our victim witness resolution agreement.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, we're going to have to approve.
And this is all just recommended verbiage.
Yep.
Just a couple things.
Are there
lined up.
changes recommended in here?
No, this is one of those things where we just prove it. It's like,
I'm
it's like,
assuming there's a template out there that we just put Ashland County
Yeah.
on it with our emblem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, well, I will, Brad Ray will move to approve the, Wisconsin Crime Victim and Witness Assistance Program Plan.
and we'll bring it to the county board too for final approval.
This is, okay, this is the program plan. It says on there is there a resolution? Is there a resolution that's?
That's what I was looking for. And I
Let's see the
can't get
resolution.
on the website. Because the link is broken.
Thought there was a.
I don't have a copy of the resolution in here. There's just the,
And then do
The
we just,
resolution that's in there is the consolidated dispatch one.
Oh, yeah, and that's,
yeah, we're missing a piece.
so we're missing the resolution.
We can't approve something we do not have a copy of.
That's correct.
So, Um,
All right, so just skip, I guess.
I guess I would, which, I thought it was just the plan, not the actual.
yeah, this is the plan. I don't see a resolution. And who, the county board chairman sign the resolution or
Yeah, chair would sign the resolution.
But-
After it passed the board.
after it's created?
No, that's consolidated dispatch.
okay, we'll call this one a paper debacle and
Withdraw my motion then,
Yeah.
I thought it was just the plan.
yeah. I don't know how we do,
Just
just
skip
take it,
it and-
skip it and take it to county board then?
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, the verbiage on it is pretty standard, is
I think it's the same every year.
okay. I was gonna say with victim witness, is it just through this is the one that goes with the court system?
Yeah, let me look and see if there's one from last year.
Okay.
Let's see.
Well, if you find it, it's not on here. It's not in our packet anyways, but we can go on to the jail administration report.
Looks like none of the links work. Yeah, we did it.
So anybody else had any more questions about it?
I'm not shy about just adding a couple more statistics in there that I can emphasize on if you want.
Oh, yeah.
Go right ahead.
Well, first of all, we should introduce Kyle.
yourself.
Yeah, and I'll properly introduce myself. As Kim had already introduced me, I am Kyle Kadat. Previously, I was a detective with the sheriff's office. Prior to that, I did 10 years over with Red Cliff Tribal PD. My last about 3 years, I was the chief of police there. So yeah, I've been sitting in the interim role of lieutenant over in the jail. My initial observations are very dedicated staff, very willing to help. To my delight, I have not witnessed any indication that they wish for me to fail. They've done nothing but try and help the transition. So I'm very much owing them respect for that. So based on the numbers that you were provided with on what the sheriff read, just some more details of that. There are 4 boarded out females. 3 of those females are in Bayfield County. 1 is in Oneida County. There's 1 female in the facility, and that is actually a hold for another county. That's a hold for Oneida County. We have 3 total holds within the facility. 11 of the 41 inmates are actually sitting in there on probation holds. I see there's some other information here that is generally in this jail population report, which I don't know if this just segues right into this.
Yeah,
Um,
and I know Sheriff Supke gave us most of the data.
Yeah, I
already.
was just gonna say age, sex, race. I kind of just touched on the sex part of it, and then age. If this stuff is wanted to be included, obviously this was a very fast transition, so I can try and adjust for the next. I believe these are quarterly meetings.
And if the committee wants something different, she'll let them know.
Yeah, so hopefully in the next 3 months, I'll have a grasp on being able to compile a different report, maybe with some different types of graphs. And I don't know if you've been updated, but Angie Lazarek, who is kind of assigned as the financial manager of the jail, she had a major injury. Was that three weeks ago? Maybe 2 weeks ago. She had a very serious injury to her fibula and tibula, so she has been out. So this has all kind of been just a lot, along with getting new sheriff in office, new chief deputy, new patrol lieutenant, me over in the jail as lieutenant. So it's not like we're going about business as usual, because we don't even know what usual is right now. Yeah, I don't know. Feel free to ask me questions, because I do not know what you actually want me to tell you.
I can always go through some of the emails that I had with Kim. I had pulled, National Counties Association had done a jail population study, and I just pulled basic data from that because I was working with CJCC to try to do some data-driven fixes. A lot of times it's not you guys are the charges that are any arrests that are actually delaying people, but sometimes it's a leg in the DA's office or issues with the court. But if we don't track the data, we don't know where it's coming from, and data is hard, and it shows a direction where maybe we can make some changes, maybe stuff that will make things easier on you guys and stuff that might make it easier on the whole process. So, but I can always send you that.
Thank you.
Do you guys have any questions?
Did you say interim lieutenant? Is that you're in an interim position right now and not?
The formality of that is, I guess I'm just still awaiting some confirmation from sheriff and administration.
Yeah, it's interim.
Okay. And we will be conducting a search or doing some process to make that so it's not interim in the near
Well,
future? or-
As we heard in public,
Well, we're not going to discuss that issue
Okay.
because of potential litigation.
Okay.
But
All right. I appreciate the questions and the willingness to work with us anyways, so. Thank you, Lieutenant Cadet. Basically, we are down to the next meeting date. And we're going quarterly. Usually we do April. The last Monday in April is the 24th. How does that look to everybody? Is anybody else going to some place with white sand and warmness and such?
Hopefully soon.
No. Usually
Meeting in
these-
February or March.
No, these ones are usually quarterly,
Quarterly.
so unless we have something big come up in the sheriff's department or we have some property issue or things to take up. So, sound good? Everyone, 24th? All right, 24th, 5 PM, looks like we're not gonna do the tour again, even though it accidentally happens to be on the.
Or-
Yeah,
Can I ask,
agenda.
the meetings have to be at 5 o'clock?
The meetings are at 5 o'clock. You always have the option of doing it by Zoom if you want. These ones we moved because it does provide a little more access to most of the general population if they do want to come and see one of the meetings. Or participate in this process.
Nobody shows
Well,
up.
nobody's used to having any meetings that are, they call the 9 o'clock in the morning ones the secret meetings, so.
Huh?
That's the input I've had from people from the community is they like the meetings at different times. This is the only one I have any say in. And we had voted it in last year or 2 years ago. So I guess if you wanted to change it, you could overrule, but
Mike, I can put it on the agenda for the next meeting and the
Put
committee
it
can,
on the
the
agenda for
committee can
next meeting.
decide.
Okay, I mean, okay.
but I think it would be better till we had a fifth member to decide.
I mean,
Yeah.
every one of the other committee meetings meet during the day.
yes. And the Department of Administration has had a problem with our 9 o'clock in the morning meetings because most people work during those times. So, but like I said, it's a democracy and we can always vote on it. Is anybody looking to make that last fun motion?
I don't know if we actually need to, but move to adjourn.
All right,